Oh, okay, and we are live with the Robert and Bazes podcast number 3. And we wanted to take this podcast to dedicate a full episode to Wim Hof because there's so much to discuss with him. We touched on him like for 10 minutes or 5 minutes yesterday, but like he deserves a full episode because there's so much to dive into.
Yeah, sorry, I had some technical difficulties. I didn't get to hear everything, but yes, Wim Hof. We're speaking about Wim Hof.
Exactly. So, what's your experience with him, with his method?
Man, well, first and foremost, I used to do Laird Hamilton's breathing method. Highly effective, loved it. It's a bit different. I think it's more designed for athletes and to increase just your all-around cardiovascular system and just lung capacity. I don't feel like I experienced the same thing as the Wim Hof method. The biggest difference is with him was the holding of the breath. And you're the one that pushed me onto Wim Hof. I'm so thankful for it because I think it was like within the first week, I started to experience exactly what he describes in like the blood flow. You know, my feet were tingling. And I think I always told you this, but I had like... I used to like sweat at the bottom of my feet. My feet used to be cold and the rest of my body's warm, and my hands would do the same thing. And like that started to go away like within the first week and a half or so. And I really begin to realize like it's the oxygen. Like we need to pump oxygen through our body. Like the shallow breathing we do on just our daily basis of just walking around and speaking and doing our normal things is not enough. We got to pump oxygen through our body. I never felt that before, even in the other breathing methods I did. Like he was the only one that like, and it may have just been like it worked for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that the others don't work. I'm sure they work just as good. There was something about his that connected to my mind.
Yeah, for the people that have no clue what the Wim Hof method is, basically the breathing exercises is one pillar combined with the cold showers. And right now, of course, you're talking about the breathing. So what you do basically is have 30 breaths, deep breath in, deep breath out as well to get all the carbon dioxide out of your body. And then after those 30 breaths, you just hold it. And after that, you breathe in again and repeat around, do 30 breaths and hold it in again. And I had the same thing, especially with holding my breath, is I get in this floating trance position where I can just control my body, which is crazy. I didn't have it in the beginning, but when I got familiar with the method and did it on a daily basis, like if my toe is hurting, I can just send all the energy to there and it's gone. And if you talk about this, some people will think you're crazy, but he's actually proving it now. Like science is caught up to that, which is mind blowing to me. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You know what I found like most interesting is that I still can't really wrap my head around it, is you let all of your air out of your lungs, then hold your breath. That, I'm like, what? Like, I've never really heard of that or thought of it that way. And, like, it works. And, like, try to describe that to someone. Like, I'm going to tell you to hold your breath as long as you can, but you got to dump all the air out of your lungs first.
Yeah, it is crazy. Normally you would think, take a deep breath in and hold that, but no, let it out.
It's opposite.
Yeah. Hold.
How did you do that before the breathing method? Did you just, like when you went to hold your breath, did you, and then held your breath?
I sucked at holding my breath.
Me too, man.
It's like 30 seconds and full on panic mode.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like it's like crazy.
Instant, I'm like 10 seconds in, I'm already shaking my knee.
Oh man, I was like, you have that not Titanic movie. I don't know what movie. Maybe it's Speed. Do you know the movie Speed with Keanu Reeves?
I do, yes.
I think it's that movie where like someone is swimming through the water and he has to touch a button to reverse the engine of the boat. And I saw that, I was like, oh, if that was me, like everybody would be dead. Yeah, we're dead.
Sorry guys, like I'm gonna try, but we're dead. We got about 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So and the crazy thing is it's not about holding your breath, right, with the breathing method. It's like you said, you get oxidated, the carbon dioxide disappears, your pH levels rise, like you get alkaline and the acid gets rid of your body. Like that's the first thing, like in a physiological way, what happens to your body. But then also your immune system gets triggered because you're holding a breath. It's kind of like a stress. Like your body's like, what's happening? I need air, but we're not breathing. So your immune system, your adrenaline goes up, right? In that state of mind, when you think of something, you can direct that energy to any part of your body. So when I have a headache, like I also take a nap because naps are great, but I don't take an aspirin and take a nap. I do the Wim Hof breathing and I take a nap and it's gone. Like how crazy is that? Just like a
It really
natural
is.
medicine, just thinking of it.
And it makes sense because like it seems to me that a lot of pains are formed because of lack of oxygen, you know, and especially when you get into like inflammation and those type of things. That I know that there's other things at hand, but I think the lack of oxygen directly correlates with that. And like that was something I experienced right off the bat. And like you and I talked about this, but like, you know, I've suffered from gout for the past like 20 years, and I may have had about a dozen attacks.
Like, could you
I
explain
had
what that is for people that don't know what it is?
Yeah, so gout is it's basically uric acid, and it builds up in certain areas of your body, typically in the joints. Usually you're going to get it in your feet. That's the most common area. Some people get it in their knees, elbows, and hands. So usually in the limbs and in the joint areas. Uric acid, doctor described it to me like this, and this is kind of how it feels if you were to try to put it into words. It's like a bunch of shards of glass inside of your joint. It's super, super painful. Literally, you can't touch it. And so I went through all these, like, went through doctors and they test me. And basically, they came to the conclusion that I produce 70% the normal amount of uric acid in my body. And it's hereditary. My father suffers from the same thing. And basically, you know, like they say that there's really no cure for it other than like you got to cut out meat and all these things. And so I went vegan. I went all the way trying to get rid of this. And none of it worked. None of it worked. Now, fast forward, I get into the Wim Hof method. He starts to describe on how this could help combat uric acid. He specifically talks about it and inflammation. I think within a month, like to go back a little further too, like the very first gout attack I had was in my right big toe. That pain never went away. It was still there slightly. Like if I stepped on my tippy toe, I could feel it. Like within the first month, that was gone. And I'm talking like 20 years I've been dealing with that.
That's crazy. That's
Isn't it, man?
yeah,
It's mind bending.
crazy.
It's mind bending to me, dude. And then like, dude, I used to have these like weird bumps on my forehead, like pimples maybe or something like that. And those went away. And then I used to have like, I couldn't wear t-shirts, man. I'm not even kidding you. I can't have things around my neck because like I get this like weird feeling around my neck. My grandma used to have it. That's gone. So I'm just like starting to begin to realize that it's like, I think that my body's just been lacking in oxygen in all these areas. And so like this, like whatever's going on in my neck and obviously the uric acid buildup and all that, like that's my body just simply can't defend against it anymore because I don't have enough oxygen to do so. That's at least how I make sense of it in my head, man. But how profound is that, man? Like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I really still can't like think it's true, man. I feel like it's coming back. Like I've dealt with this stuff for so long.
It's like a fairy tale, right? Like good,
Right.
Too good to be true. But it is true.
That's what it feels like. It's true. It's like 100% true. The next thing though is the cold shower, man.
Yeah.
Like you were telling me it for a long time, man. And I just like I was just being a bitch. Just didn't want to do it. Like I'm too skitty. But you know, like it gets cold in my bones. I got all the excuses in the world. That man brought it all together. That's when the home run came in. Like I think it was like there's something with those cannabinoids that he speaks about and like the stress beacons and anxiety and depression. When we're not exposed to these stressors of cold and hot and these like up and down fluctuations, like those things start to go dormant inside of you. And I think that's why depression comes in and anxiety and stress and nervousness and all of these things. We need to build a defense to them. And somehow the cold wakes that up. How he figured that out is that really takes me back a bit.
That's crazy. He discovered this with this intuition, basically. Like he was just drawn to the cold, and he discovered this by doing it. Like not reading. There was no science. It was never discovered. It was never researched. He just did it, and then they took him under the loop to research like what his body was going through. But the fact that he discovered just by feeling, that's really magnificent to me.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like that's the thing that like I'm the most interested in is like how he did this on his own. That proves he's got a very unique mind. You know, like I'm just meaning to ask you too, because like obviously I had pains and things that like I was searching for the answers for, you know, on like how to fix. And so I was just willing to try things. You didn't have this inside of you. So like yours was just to do it out of like, I guess intuition we could call it or whatever. Why did you get into it, and like why do you continue to do it?
Well, the first thing was the lockdown, basically. Due to this pandemic, of course, I had more time on my hands, and I started discovering more. And one of those things was Wim Hof. And once I'm into something, I want to dive into it all the way. Like no shallow information. I watched every podcast, every documentary, every episode there is, just to because I was so interested in this. It's like he can run on barefoot in the snow for a half a marathon and he's fine. He can swim under the ice water and he's fine. Like why? What's happening to him that makes him able to do that? And then I heard him say like everybody can do this. I'm like, wait, what? So I was like really interested in his method. And I should tell him a bit more about my background. Like I'm interested in health and mental health, physical health, feeling good, feeling energized. You know, I do fasting. I eat really healthy. I work out. I make sure I don't have a lot of stress. I sleep well. So this for me was just another piece to the puzzle to add to the full picture. What was your question?
Well, for dude, like you pretty much no, you answered it for the most part, but like
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
still like super curious on like what draws you to these things. Like the reason why, man, I asked this question is that it seems that like you know, especially me at your age, and I guess I only have myself to compare to, but like I was into like fitness and all that, but like I was in it for the ego. I want to build muscle. I want to look good. You know what I mean? And like it was like a different mentality. Like you seem to have this like more aware, just open-minded mentality when it comes to these things. Like I think that like at least at my age, or like when I was your age, like my mind was way too scrambled and too busy to like even like try to concentrate. So I'm like always very curious in how you do it, man. Like just based on that.
Well, one of the things that opened up to reflection and diving deeper was actually my university. Like we have a lot of coaching and leadership and NLP and reflecting and diving into that. So that has a part to do with the fact I'm so interested in mental health and coaching and physical health. So that's one of the part, but it's also fitness itself. Like for me, it started with ego as well. I discussed that in the last episode, but I realized pretty fast that there's so much more than looking good. Like fuck that. That's not interesting. But the physiological ways on your bodies, and then I discovered fasting, and I read the research. And I was like, I'm just gonna do this. Like, it's good for your body. Like, the health part for me was really important because not a lot of people are aware of how important health really is. I love this Royce the 5'9" bar in the song "Tricked." I don't know if you know the song "Tricked" with King
Mm-hmm.
Fruit.
Mm-hmm.
You think health is not an issue till you're sick. And that's so spot on. And it's the same with the Instagram post you shared. Like Wim Hof shared it as well. Like if you don't make time for your health, like you're forced to make time for your sickness. And that's so true. It's like we think health is not important until we're 60 and our back is messed up and we are fat and we've drank alcohol all our lives and we have to go to the hospital and we have all these bills. Like I like to look at the long term. So then Wim Hof came in. It's just another piece of the puzzle that makes that complete. Or not complete, but more complete.
You know, man, I think that you just really hit something there because like that's what you have. You have foresight. And a lot of people lack in that. You could see the future. You're like, I just know that like the ego side is telling me to go like lift heavy or take steroids so I can look good, knowing that that's going to be bad for your future. So you saw that. Instead, you went the right direction, and somehow we're able to have the foresight of like knowing that, okay, the breathing method's going to help me. Eating right is going to help me. Working out properly is going to help me. Like working on a form, like digging into the philosophy and the mindset of it, like is going to help me. You really opened up all the books, and at least for me, when I first got into fitness, like it definitely wasn't that. Like I was always very goal driven, and I was just like you. I was willing to do what it takes, but my goals were different, man. I'd be like, I want to be a pro fighter. So I do whatever it takes to do that. But like that means that I'm gonna break my hand over and over. That means that I'm gonna break my nose over and over. And I didn't care about the consequences in my future. And so now I'm dealing with that. And you know, I wish I had foresight back then. So like when I see you, I'm like, somehow you gain this foresight at a young age. And I'm not saying that people your age don't have this ability, but at least in my experience, like it seems that a lot of them are just kind of like, you know, ready, shoot, aim. You know, they're skipping the steps.
Ready, aim,
And
fire.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, you're going a little off here. And like that was totally me. That was totally me at my young age. Like I was a go-getter. I was always just hammering away, but like I was on a treadmill running, but
Yeah.
getting nowhere, you know?
But that's also part of being young, you know, like it's just because now you have that foresight. Like I say it's never too late. It's never too late to switch to a healthy diet. It's never too late to do the Wim Hof method, because people ask me that a lot. Like, do you have like a significant difference with the Wim Hof? It was like only small, because I already had a healthy lifestyle. So there was nothing for me to solve. But if I have like a headache coming up, I still can use that to make that disappear. So like I said, it's another piece to the puzzle. And what also is crazy is that every time I add a puzzle, I realize the puzzle gets bigger.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what's amazing, dude, is like you are building your puzzle, but you're also well aware of like just what you're doing today and how it's going to benefit your future. And I just that right there is like how you really build a complete puzzle. You know, it
True.
really is, man.
And for us, like now it's easy. Like we have the science, but imagine Wim Hof, like we talked 5 minutes ago, like doing this on intuition, like just knowing it's good for you. That's crazy to me. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. Like we are getting, I don't want to say healthier, but we are living longer. We have health care. You know, we build houses, so we're not being, you know, eaten by tigers and bears. So in that way, we have like a healthier lifestyle where we live longer. So that's the good side of it. The bad side of it is we don't have like that stress exposure the body needs. Like people mess up the word stress. Like stress is not necessarily bad for you. Like too much stress is bad for you. Like you will go under. But if you have a tiny bit of stress, like a workout is stress, or holding your breath is stress, or taking a cold shower, that's a form of stress. And your body is going to adapt to that. But we don't have that stress exposure. We are sitting cozy in our homes with our cup of tea and our coat. Like it's not going to be good for your health. So if we combine like the modern lifestyle with still the stress exposure of back in the day, like that's a golden combination.
So do you feel that there's a difference between mental and physical stress?
Probably not. I don't know. It's a good question. Wim Hof said stress is stress. It's like it affects you on cell level. It doesn't matter what kind of stress it is. But I think it's never split. Like your physical stress has impact on your mental stress and the other way around. But the gateway can be different. Like if you work too much, the gateway is mental stress, but it will have effect on your physics as well. So
Yeah,
the gateway
go
may
ahead.
be different, but the influence from mental to physical and physical to mental will be there anyway.
Yeah, and you know that's why I asked that question is because I feel like just that gateway, there's a way to close it and open it. And so if you're constantly stressed in your mind, I think it affects your body worse. But that's why I kind of like almost separate them sometimes because I feel like physical fitness is definitely a mental challenge, but it's far more stressful in the body. You know what I mean? And then if you were to go in and do like, say, a lecture or just even a performance, that's more mental stress than physical. So there's got to be some sort of, I don't know, like a gateway of shutting it off and regulating it somehow. And the reason why I say like at least mental, for me, I feel like it could be a bit more damaging because I don't know how much the physical part affects the mental, but the mental extremely affects the physical. That's
Yeah,
why I feel
true.
like the mind is so important
No.
to grasp, you know?
I think it's not separate, like it's combined. But it's so hard to explain that. Like not mind over
Sure.
body. It's like mind and body.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
Because,
agree with you.
because if you're healthy and like the chances of you being happy is going to increase. That's what I believe. If you take care of your body, sleep well, eat well, train, do the Wim Hof, like I think you're going to be happier overall than being fat and being unhealthy and being sick and going to the doctor.
Yeah, yeah, dude, I agree with that completely. And I think that like at least for like the mental part of it, like I think of like sickness, right? They have like the hypochondriacs out there, right? Like they really they could convince themselves they're sick. I mean, there's people out there that convince themselves that they have cancer. They really don't, but they get so deep into their minds that they end up manifesting it. And it's kind of like that, the secret and the manifestation. Like you can manifest the illness if you really believe you're sick. And that's why I'm like, I think the mental part of it is so much greater. I guess like they're one and the same, no doubt, but there's one that's harder to get a hold of than the other. And I just feel like it's more the mental part of it because you could just fabricate things in your head and create these realities that aren't true yet, but they're going to come true if you keep thinking that way.
True,
And
and
that's
that's
what's
like
kind of crazy.
that's kind of the power of placebo because Wim Hof got asked this question a lot. Like, so basically, when you're holding your breath and you're thinking of something, it's a placebo. He says, but it works. So who cares if it's a placebo? Like the mind has the power to do that. So you can call it a placebo or not, but it works. So who gives a shit?
Exactly, man. I love that too. I love that so much because like you and I said it, like I feel like we don't need Google. We don't need any of that. Like the answers are within us. And I've felt it. I've definitely felt the missing link that he describes. And it really does get you in there where you're like, okay, my elbow's hurting today. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to meditate and breathe deeply and think about it. And then it will start to go away. And I'm like, I don't care what that is. It's working. I don't really care
Exactly.
the answer. Like I found it in me. Like it doesn't matter at this point.
And you don't need any pharmaceutical stuff like medicines. And I always say with medicine, like medicine, they have the ability to work, but they only attack the symptom and not the cause. So what that does is when you take a medicine, like maybe your headache will get away, but your cause is you're being too tired or you have too much mental stress today. So you should attack that part. What
Right.
helps? Taking a nap or taking it easy or go meditate or do the breathing instead of taking an aspirin and continue working because then the symptom it's like coffee, caffeine. Like you're tired, so I'm gonna drink coffee. No, you're tired, so you should go to bed early tonight.
Right. Yep. You're so right. Yeah. You're going to make it worse for the next day. It's like if you were to go, your car it's out of line and the front end is turning slightly left, which is causing your tires to go balder quicker. And instead of you fixing the alignment, you keep buying new tires. What are you doing that for? That's not the problem. The problem is your alignment.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. So, but you can even take it a step further with Wim Hof. Like there are monks that do breathing like all day, every day, and they can switch their heat of their finger from their index finger to their middle finger. Like they tested this. Like he's gonna think of sending all the blood and the warmth into his index finger and then switch it to his middle finger. And his middle finger got warm and his index finger got cold again. Of course, we don't have the time, or we have the time, but we don't make the time to do breathing for 8 hours, of course, and meditate. Like that makes sense. But the fact we have that ability only proves that even if you don't want to take it that far, but take it a step back with the Wim Hof, like we see Wim Hof as a crazy dude that jumps into the ice and has these world records, but that's not the point of his method. The point of his method is do his meditation every day. It takes you like 10 minutes. Take a cold shower, even though it's can be tough. Like it doesn't take time or that much effort. With those two pillars, it takes you a cold shower and 10 minutes a day. You're golden.
Yeah. You know what, man? Like that's what I love about Wim Hof because you're actually like you're putting it all together here. Is like I think we all gravitate towards those monks. Like those are like these are very unique people, very unique. Like we're lucky to see one in our lifetime type of unique. And so Wim Hof has somehow been able to discover it inside of himself to make it easy for all of us to do this. We don't have to be monks. And the whole thing about it is like, that's not even practical anymore. It's not going to happen. So we got a new way of living. We got all this technology. We got, all this noise in our head because technically for us to like get into a point of where we're transferring, one finger cold and one hot. I mean, you would literally have to have nothing on your mind. You'd have to be so deeply focused. And like, there's too much noise in the world. I think that Wim Hof bridged that gap. I think that Wim Hof figured out how to like silence out the noise and still keep it there, which is incredible to me. Incredible.
Exactly, to make it, the threshold not so big for our regular day people to start doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, because dude, we got what do they say? You have like 7 important decisions that you can make on a daily basis. Anything other than that is going to end up being an emotional decision. You're not going to have like a super clear logical answer for it. And when you think about that, how many decisions do you think we make a day? Hundreds?
I don't
Hundreds? Yeah, and so like we're already information overload. We're probably information overload like the second we get up because we're pulling up our phones and we're inside of our emails. And so if we're not trying to combat this and deal with it, as you talked about the stressors, and because that's stress, this is mental stress. It starts to seep inside you and it becomes you. And then you got these people running around that are just these balls of tension. And like, not only are they ready to fly off the handle, but it could be something as simple as like, they just walked in the wrong door and they literally lose their mind, for a week. And it's like, you can't even deal with your stress at that level. That's because you have way too much going on upstairs. You got to schedule stillness in your life. You have to chill. If you don't chill, then these things are just they're going to take over.
That's what we do when we take breaks from work. Like, we think we take breaks, but then we go on the internet and watch videos, and our mind is still running instead of like doing a 5-minute meditation or something that's similar that will really still the mind.
Yeah, you're so right, man. Like, actually, I got to get better at that, to be honest. Like, I'm very diligent on everything I do in my morning and night. But like throughout the day, I think my breaks, I need to like get a little more stillness in my, just in the break times, because like I think about it like this, and like you and I talked about this, but like stretching, for example, if you're going to go and stretch and you're going to do a half an hour stretch every day, or maybe even an hour, but you're going to be in bad posture for 8 hours, like it's not going to do nothing for you. And it's the same with your mind. Like if you're going to just schedule stillness, but you're going to constantly bombard the mind and not give it enough stillness. Like you're just fighting an uphill battle. It's never going to win. There's got to be a better balance.
Exactly. And the fun thing with Wim Hof as well is like, he is a crazy guy. Like he has fun. Like I showed him his blooper video, right? Like it's just straight up energy and laughter, and like that helps as well. Like just seeing him with joy, and it just makes you laugh.
I love the guy to death, man. He draws me in. It's like a child. He really is, man. He's so excited.
It's like a 60-year-old child.
He is, man. And like to me, like when I watch him, I'm like, I want to be like that. You know what I mean? Like I want to be this happy-go-lucky guy. Be strong like tree. I chop down tree. Be strong. I just love it, man.
and then I scream like, "Woo!"
Yeah, dude. He's so like out there, but like, I love it, man. I love it to death. I think that like, what to me, anyways, like what I see in that is the fact that he just doesn't care about what people think, man, at all. Like just to being him, man. And like that to me is like why I'm drawn to him. I'm drawn to people like that. Like you are the same way. You don't care about what people think about you, and like that is like the most liberating thing you could ever get.
It is. It is. And even though in somehow I achieved that stage of not caring about people around, there's still every day I still take steps. Like you're never there fully, unless you're Wim Hof. But
yeah, I don't know if he's there fully. I gave this scenario to my wife, right? Let's take Wim Hof and as the grandmaster as we know he is, let's put him in a grocery store, and an American grocery store. That's very important. He's got to be an American grocery store. So we're gonna put him in an American grocery store and work there for 20 years. I don't know if he could be the same person. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to connect to like the more average soul, the more regular everyday person.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. I think that like his method could help anybody, and it could be profound for anybody. Can you get to him? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that like to be Wim Hof, you got to really be at a state in your life or a stage in your life that you're like completely let go of everything.
True.
Like
But an example for me still taking steps, like I like to sing and rap when I'm cycling. Like, and some days I will stop singing when somebody passes me, right? Or like when I'm in a crowded spot. But like last week, I was like in an euphoric state of mind all day, and I was like, singing, and I didn't give a shit about who was there. I was like singing and rapping and being happy, and you don't even see the people then.
Yeah, man, that's when you're you, right? Like you're in the moment, actually, like actually here. And do you know who Duncan Trussell is? You ever heard of
No.
him? He's a comedian. He's on Rogan. Real like spiritual soul. He's way into yoga and meditation. He studied under some like yoga guru in India, I believe, and he said this thing that I loved, man. And he said that like the breathing he talked about. He said that like when you're not breathing, someone else is in the driver's seat. And when he remembers to breathe, he's like, okay, I'm back in the driver's seat. And I don't know if this will make sense to people, but like it probably makes sense to you, right? Like because when we're not
sure.
breathing, when we're doing the shallow breathing, we're thinking about something else, or we're thinking about the people judging us, or whatever we are. But when you, this is me. I feel like me now, you know. And then you don't give a fuck. Like I'll go sing in front of a crowd because now I'm back.
But that's what the cold water does to you as well. Like
Totally.
Your breath's gonna like like oh breathe. Okay, it's all good. Like no problem. At the same, we had
go ahead. Sorry.
We had to do a trust fall a while back, and I was like a pretty high table, and I was like I fell, and I was like laying there, and everything was good, and she said like breathe. I was like oh, it's all good, like just breathe. I was holding my breath as well, like you don't know what's happening, and
Tense
you're holding on, and it's like relax.
Yep. Be in the moment. And that's what I think the whole point of it is like even the cold. It's like it forces you to be in the moment. You don't have time to be somewhere else. Like I'm too cold for this. I got to like get through this.
That's what Wim Hof says. Like you're not going to think about what you're going to eat for dinner tomorrow, or about stress about a loved one or work, or all there is surviving the cold and getting through the shower. And so like that disappears.
I think that's the whole, at least for me, that's the message of the cold is that like it teaches you to like get back inside of yourself. And then you got to let go now. Like you're too crazy. Like your thoughts are running wild. And I always think of like, I think of this samurai movie I watched. I think it was The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Actually I've had other people tell me it as well, but like just the you thinking too much. You're thinking too much, you know? And that's like, I think the whole thing in life is like, we all just go through things trying to outthink it. And sometimes you just got to just breathe. And then all of a sudden you get clear-minded and all
I want
the
to add to that,
there.
like the moment you... Sorry, what were you saying? I was interrupting you.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was finished.
Okay. And the moment you think, you cannot feel. Like they don't go together.
Exactly,
That's what's cool as well. And have you seen the Yes Theory video of Wim Hof?
I don't think so, no.
Like you have the Vice documentary. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
So with the Yes Theory, they take it up a notch by on the first day going into a river which is freezing water. It's freezing because it's still running, so that's why it's that cold. And on the first day they were sitting there in it for 10 minutes. And the old consensus would be like, if somebody who wasn't trained will do that, you're gonna die. But Wim Hof kind of played guinea pigs with them. It's like, we're just gonna do it. It's gonna be fine. And everybody stayed in there for 10 minutes, and they were all good. Well, they were freaking cold, and they were having trouble, but like their body was fine.
Yeah, you know, because what is the consensus? Isn't it like 3 or 4 minutes or something?
Yeah, and then you just pass out and die.
You die. Yeah, I think it is something like that. So like that's like blowing it out the water. Like you're over doubling the time. So yeah, dude, like that's a whole other thing. Is like these limitations we set on our mind. And I think Wim Hof is really good at like helping you break those because we set these limitations based on information usually. You know, it's what is that you couldn't break like a 3-minute mile, I think it was. It's a very famous story. And an American runner did it. So before that person, you know, proved that you could run a mile in 3 minutes, they believed that you'd have a heart attack. You literally would have a heart attack and just fall over and die if you did that. So one guy was like, screw you. You guys are crazy. I'm going to do this. And like the next year, dude, like 20 people did it.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I was like, it's just a limitation, man. Like that's all we do is like we will hear what someone says, and based on their own insecurities or failures or whatever experience they went through, that's now your reality. And we're going to give you that
True.
limitation, that same one. So, yeah, I agree, man.
And how longer you hold on to that information, the bigger the paradigm shift is going to be. And I love paradigm shifts. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ, like this is true. And you're going to love this story. Like, this is so funny. Like, this is typical Wim Hof. Like, he's Dutch, of course. Like, he's from my country. So he also has like programs or old programs where they test them on Dutch television. So they would submerge him under the water. They tested him before he went run that half marathon. The doctor was like, we first want to test you to make sure it's safe. So they submerged him in like 4 degrees water, maybe 3, maybe 5, I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. They submerged him, and it's like after a few minutes, most of the people start shivering and they cannot take it anymore. And then you saw Wim Hof like sitting there after 20 minutes, and he asked like the scientist, like, Mr. Scientist, would you tell me something about your hobbies? Is that...
Dude's an animal, man. He is
It's so
animal.
Funny. But kind of in a braggy way, you know, like asking the scientist like what his hobbies are, he does in daily life, just to mess around with like the old consensus, which is funny as hell.
I love it, man. Because that's like, he's like shattering these limitations, and we need people like him to like show other people that like stop. Like we just get like locked into these, you know, these limitations sometimes. I watched a thing on I don't know, Twitter or whatever it was, and it was kind of funny to me, but it was like 2 football players, and it said there's 2 different types of people in this world, and they're both taking ice baths. One of them was sitting like Wim Hof, you know, just comfortable, smiling. The other one's screaming. The other guy's screaming like a little girl.
I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw it, man. And I'm like, that's it right there, man. That really is it. I would be the guy screaming like a girl, by the way.
And the other dude was like, dude, like,
shut up, man. Like,
just don't be a bitch. Just sit in the water. It's like fine, man.
Yeah, it's not that bad. You're not gonna die. And like that's just it. It's like that's like a clear sign of these limitations that we put on our mind, man. Like that's really what it is. So
exactly. So what would you say to people that still don't know really like how this method works, or still have a lot of questions, or maybe they have an illness or a pain and they don't know how to attack that? Like, what would you say to them?
I would say this: if you are searching for the answers, if you are, you know, somehow dealing with all this stress in your life and you have like no direction and you're not really sure of what the next step is, and you feel unhealthy, Wim Hof method. And the reason why I say this is like it's super easy. Like he mentioned, I mean, it takes 11 minutes to do the breathing method. Tops, you could do 2 minutes in the cold shower. And this will drastically improve all of those things. If you are feeling unhealthy, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling like your life is just hopeless, this literally will pull you out of that mindset and give you a deeper perspective and probably a clearer vision on where you need to go. This is the only thing that's ever done this for me. Fitness, all of it helps. But that thing right there, for whatever reason, it's super effective. So that would be like my plea to people if they want to start.
Cool. And also, I want to add to that, just do it. Like experiencing is understanding. Like by doing it, you understand it. Like you can read about it, you can hear about it, but the moment you do it, you will understand it. So you have like YouTube video of him like doing the breathing, guided Wim Hof breathing. There's like an 8-minute video. He will just guide you to it, and you will already feel like what it does to you. So just do it. Look on the internet, download the app, like just do it.
Yeah, and I will say this, like within 2 days you're gonna feel something. And I mean that's absolute fact. Like it comes pretty quickly. And you know, there's another thing, and really you're gonna go through a honeymoon phase, and this is different for everybody. And then once you hit that, you're gonna realize like I gotta get better at this. But once you crack that wall, that's when your body truly starts to dig into it. That's at least what happened to me. I started to really understand like I got a lot more air in my lungs. I could pump more air down to my feet, which my feet, you always seem to have the problems. And like, this all happened to me within like a month after it. So like, I kind of had to go through some, but so, you know, within 2 days, you will feel a good effect, but give it a little more time than that. That's when you really start to feel the effects of it.
Exactly. And with the honeymoon phase, it's cool that you said that. Like in the beginning, we want to challenge ourselves by holding our breath longer, you know, and it goes well, but that's not the goal. And then we had it at the same time. After that, we could only hold our breath for 30 seconds in the first round. We were like, what's happening? Like, I could do it for 2 minutes and only for 30 seconds, but that was like past the honeymoon phase. And then it would, you know, it was increasing again. And You could feel the connection with your body. And the first thing for me was my heart rate. Like my resting heart rate is already pretty low. Like if I'm sitting right now, it's like around 50. But I once got to the point with the Wim Hof breathing, I got like a 40. And I could just, it was weird. I was counting my heartbeat. It was so slow. It's like, Jesus, like this is crazy.
Hey, you actually just brought me to another like jaw-dropping fact about this. He says that if you do the breathing method in the cold shower on a daily basis, you will decrease your heartbeats by 20 an hour. And if anybody understands your heartbeat, you only get so many of these in a lifetime. So to decrease by 20 an hour, how many years do you think you're going to add on to your life?
20 an hour? What do you mean?
So I can't remember, and I wish I could cite the video I watched from Wim Hof, but he describes that it's proven scientifically that if you do his breathing method in the cold shower on a daily basis, it will decrease your heartbeat by 20 an hour.
Oh, per hour. Like so I was thinking per minute, but just like 20 per hour.
Yeah, 20 beats per hour
being a
less. Oh, it's all good. But like, I mean, at least we could clarify for everyone, because like that fact alone was so jaw-dropping to me, because I know how important our heartbeats are, man. Like you only get so many in a lifetime. So to be able to, regulate that and do less an hour, especially like when we're just resting, like some people's heart rates are just still going like this.
Yeah,
if they're resting. Yeah, and like you want to learn to like calm that down, because like doing that, like you're literally cutting years off your life.
Exactly.
And so for me, when I heard that fact, I'm like, oh, everyone really should like consider jumping on this.
For sure. I think that's a good ending for the Wim Hof theme. So
I agree.
People just do it. Do it and come back to us 2 months later, DM us. Like, it's crazy.
It is crazy. And if you experience the same things as us, we would love to hear about it in the comments. Of course, let us know if you guys want us to go in depth on anything else. If we don't cover things the way we should, I know I could be scattered sometimes. Let us know in the comments. We could clean that up and get better over time.
All right. Thanks, Robert.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Talk to you guys later.